maybe there is no answer. Maybe it really is just a tragedy, right? With no, and you just have to shrug.
No. I'm an activist. I don't accept it. I'm not an observer. I'm an activist.
So from a realist.
No, I'm sure I have the answer to your question. Of course, we've been doing it for the last 40 years. I know what I'm doing. So it takes time. So what I'm learning from this is to have the political process of symbolic acknowledgement, let's say. You don't need to convince every Israeli Jew to make the acknowledgement. You don't need to deprogram every Zionist. You need to find the reality by which a political leadership says, even not genuinely, for the sake of reconciliation, we are making this kind of acknowledgement, and then see how it works. Now, that's one way of doing it. The other thing that we are doing, and I agree, I think there are certain generations we have lost. But I think that's why the work that Zochrot is doing and others are doing, it's education. It's education. I see one of my son's generation, much easier to talk with them about the need to acknowledge. Much easier than with their parents. They didn't live through that period. They have a much more universalist point of view. I'm not talking about everyone, because Israeli. There's two interesting processes in Israel, and it would be very interesting to see how they engage with each other. From above, the Ministry of Education, the political elite wants to create another generation of fanatic, racist, ethnic Jews. That's the program of the Israeli educational system. However, that generation is also, Israel doesn't put, for the time being, any inhibition or restrictions on connecting through cyberspace to the rest of the world. So this is a confused generation. They have an international universal point of view, and they have an educational system that wants to push them in exactly the opposite direction. Exactly the opposite direction. We are using this gap to try and widen the gap, the contradiction between the Israeli education system program and our program. I say our, the activists. And I think we are successful, but in a very slow pace. But I'll tell you the truth. I think the days of Zionism or Israel as a Jewish state are numbered. I'm not sure whether I hope they're not numbered because they will be defeated by the Muslim and Arab world once they get over their own problems. I pray to God this is not the scenario that will happen. But I think they're numbered in a different way because of the moral dimension that is important to the younger generation and the younger generation's reaction to the crisis, like the 2008 reaction. This is what brought will bring Jeremy Corbyn to the Prime Minister. It will bring Bernie Sanders and like him back to politics. This is an impulse that also exists among young people in Israel, that you don't see it because here the government fights it in every possible way. That's why they're haunting soldiers against silence in such a way, because they understand that, I saw it in my younger son's class. Someone came, Noam came to talk to them. They loved him. He convinced them. And the teachers were...
How old were these kids, just sort of curiosity?
17 and 18. And the teachers were worried. 1/3 of my son's class did not go to the army. 1/3 of my son's class out of 36 did not go. Now, not all of them said we're not going ideologically. Some found excuse. No, Israel...
That's an unprecedented change.
Yeah. No, Israel, there is this inability of us as observers to understand where it's going, and I don't have a good answer for you. Where is it going? I don't know. But I'm an activist, so I don't care where it's going. I know what I have to do, okay? What I have to do is to say, yes, you're right. The electorate, people of certain age, certain generation, by the way, Sephardi, Ashkenazi, doesn't matter, seem to like the right-wing version of Israel. They think it's working. Maybe they don't even like it, but they think it's the only thing that works because you have terror, you have Iran, you have the Arab Spring. Trump is helping, saying, you see, we even have an American president who understands us, better than this bastard Obama. Okay, but I'm saying this is one direction. There is this other direction that is not controlled. I don't know, maybe they will try and control it. But I think as activists, we should enhance it. By the way, the Palestinians have a similar problem, surprisingly. Not, again, similar problem in a different way. The old Palestinian political elite believes nationalism is the way forward. A national liberation movement. That's why many of them still support the two-state solution, said we need a nation state. You read the young people's correspondence in Facebook, Twitter, they don't want a nation state. They want to live in a state that you have equal rights as citizens. They want a one democratic state. Much more, but they are not, they don't want the Fatah, they don't want the Hamas, they don't want the joint list. They want a world of freedom. And this is something that happened in the Arab world in 2011. People said to the Egyptian government, yes, you liberated us from the British, but what life do we have as a you liberated the land, but not the people. Now we saw how the Arab regimes reacted. I warn you that the Israeli regime can react in a similar way. I think the Palestinian regime hopefully will not react in a similar way because it's a far more complex situation. They are under occupation. But it stands to reason the third uprising would be much more against the Palestinian Authority than against Israel to begin with. So we have this, and the uprising will not be to throw out the PA in order to create a state. It would to say we don't like the fragmentation of the Palestinians to different groups. We don't like the way you don't talk about the right of return anymore. We don't like the way that you say that Haifa is not part of Palestine. We want all these things. We need to arrest these impulses and energies to the right agenda, which is a human rights agenda, civil rights agenda. Israel can be defeated on a human rights agenda. I don't think it can be defeated on a national right agenda anymore. It could be maybe in the 50s, 60s, I don't know, or in the 30s rather, 1930s. So my hope is that I'm not losing hope because I don't think politics is just politics from above. I don't think only the elites have politics and a say. So I look at Palestine from bottom up, I'm optimistic. I'm looking at Palestine from above, I'm very worried, I'm frightened, I don't know what's going to happen. But as an activist, I go to the place where I'm more optimistic and I ask myself, can I enhance those forces which I think are positive? And as I say, also on the Palestinian side, not on the Jewish side. I want positive forces on the Palestinian side as well. And I think we should unite under human rights, civil rights position, which Zionism is against. I think national movements as a whole are not a great idea. They find nationalism also would find it very difficult to respect basic human rights and civil rights, and we have enough examples.